What's up, guys, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 6 of Show Me Your Rig. Now, I actually had gotten a couple of questions during a live stream that I did the other day about this video series, if it had somehow gone away or disappeared, and no, certainly not the case. We just had to postpone this episode due to the crazy happenings around the holidays and then CES and whatnot. But we are back. We're going to actually double up on Show Me Your Rig episodes this month in February just to kind of catch up to where we're supposed to be. But just as a refresher, guys, this season is based on non-custom water-cooled systems. That is who the prize is going to be going to. If you have a custom liquid-cooled build that you want to submit to be showcased on the program, please go ahead and do that. I will still be showing off those systems. However, they won't be eligible for the end of season prize. Now, this episode is going to be a little special, I guess. This is going to feature exclusively Lian Li's PC011 dynamic chassis because that has proven to be by far the most popular case for submissions that I have received this season. I would say that out of the, however many I get per episode, maybe 100 or so submissions, I'd say probably 20 of them are PC011 dynamics. And that's a pretty crazy ratio considering how many different chassis are out there. But it is obviously a very popular case to build in. A lot of you guys seem to really like it. So the three systems that are coming your way today all are built in the PC011 dynamic, and we also have one honorable mention that was too cool to pass up. So, quick reminder, this email address right up here is what you guys need to know if you want to submit to Show Me Your Rig. Make sure you send in as many high quality photos as you can, along with your name, a description of your PC, what you use it for, and of course, the specs. I have been getting a lot of submissions recently with, let's just call it subpar photo quality. Good photos really stand out when everybody else is doing it poorly. I would highly recommend that you go back and watch a video that I did a couple months ago on how to properly photograph your PC for a submission like this. There are some really good photos in today's episode. I was kind of blown away with some of these submissions, so let's get right into it with system number one. Roll that intro. System number one is from Jeffrey W. Jeff writes, "My name is Jeffrey and I built this system so I could game, stream, and watch YouTube at the same time without needing a secondary PC, as I don't really stream often enough to justify a 2 PC setup. I had a specific visual style I wanted to go with, and the Lian Li 011 Dynamic really set the build in motion with how beautiful the case is and how it presents the hardware inside. One thing I'd like to note is that all 9 fans are set to exhaust, so their RGB goodness isn't lost. This does create a negative pressure, but I have the fans hooked up where the top and bottom fans are the slowest, and the side fans with the AAO are maxed out. This actually does a good job of keeping the 1950X cool, reaching about 50C during gaming." So let me just touch on that really quickly. So the issue with negative pressure in cases isn't necessarily that the temperatures are going to be bad, because to be honest, I've never really had that problem. The issue with negative pressure is dust. So if you have all of the fans in your case set to exhaust, you're actually introducing a situation where more air is going to be sucked in the non-filtered openings. In the case of the Lian Li Dynamic, there is a lot of slats at the back of the case that can just have unfiltered air coming into them, and that's where the air needs to come in if all the fans are pushing air out of the case. So you're going to have a lot of air introduced without filtration, and as a result, you could have a serious dust issue on your hands much more quickly than you would have otherwise. So it's not temperature that's the problem, it's dust. So just for anybody considering that situation or that configuration, just remember that you're going to have to maintain the entire side of your system and dust it a lot more frequently if you have negative pressure. By the same token, though, you're not going to harm your build in any way, and your temperature should be fine. Anyway, Jeff's got a Lian Li 011 Dynamic, an AMD Threadripper 1950X, Enermax Lictech 360 TR4, Lictech 2 360, which is good because the first generations tended to fail, Gigabyte X399 Aorus Gaming 7 motherboard, 8x8 GB kit of G.Skill Trident Z RGB, Asus Strix GTX 1080, Samsung 970 EVO, an EVGA Supernova 850 watt power supply, and a bunch of Enermax TB RGB fans. And as you guys can see, he is watching my face, which is what we like to see. Nice clean setup. I really like the way this looks with the PC over in the corner. Nothing to distract you when you're getting your game on. But let's take a look at the system itself. Now, Jeffrey actually sent in a bunch of photos with the same kind of lighting situation, and even though I'd prefer to have some photos not necessarily in the dark, these looked really cool, and the build obviously looks really clean, so went ahead and just used these. So this is the only one that's not in the dark, and I mean, there's nothing here that I could particularly critique. I would think that maybe you'd want some custom sleeve cables at some point, but it's not necessary. You've already got all the black cables in place. I really do like the color scheme he's got going on here. Mostly, it looks like purple, although the camera can be a little deceiving. Looks like you got like a rogue dim there that's like blue, or maybe that's just a color that's kind of cycling through. But these TB RGB fans actually, I really like them. And I know some people that have them that really like them, and they look very unique. Like, there's obviously just so many fans on the market that have RGB effects now. Enermax actually came out with addressable versions of these that they showed at CES. But the way they are just as is, they still look really cool with like this tiered, layered lighting effect. So there's no other fans on the market that really look like that. But as far as the rest of the interior of the case, you use the Cooler Master vertical GPU mount instead of Lee & Lee's, because I think it recesses it a little bit further from the edge of the case, which is good. Wiring is all done really well. The AIO tubing is routed, in a way that doesn't kink it or anything like that. I mean, I don't know why it would. I'm just kind of trying to find things to talk about here because the system looks so good. But the Lee & Lee 011 Dynamic really gives you this unique presentation from the front and from the side. So you could do crazy things like this. Like, you could look in from the front and just see all your fans lined up. But yes, as we talked about initially, obviously these are all exhaust right now. Your temperatures should still remain fine. This is not going to affect your temps. It's just going to affect your dust. So this is the area over here that I was talking about that is unfiltered. So this is where this is where all of your air is coming in, right here. So I mean, you could have a lot of dust coming in just through that area because the fans are pushing so much air out of the case. I mean, it's got to be replaced with something. But great job. I really do like the way this looks. Not often we see a lot of Threadripper builds on the channel, and I am glad you sent this in, and I'm glad that you watch my program. So thank you very much, and on to the next one. So the dog is in here now, so if you hear something gnawing on a bone behind me, sorry about that. But the second system really, really impressed me, not only with the quality of the build, but with the quality of the photos. And we'll get to why in just a second, but this system is from Lewis T. Lewis writes, "Hello BPS Customs. My name is Lewis and I live in South Carolina. I am a full-time civil engineer and I'm also a professional landscape/architecture photographer on the side." So that explains the awesome photos. The computer I'm submitting is my first build from scratch, first experience with a liquid AIO cooler, and first time trying to overclock. I wanted to build this computer to take advantage of more cores than my 4th gen i7 from Dell when I'm working with the raw files out of my Canon 5DS. And the ability to work off NVMe drives is also beneficial. My workflow was really bogging down when I would put 10 plus photos together for an automated panoramic stitch, since each raw file is around 60 to 70 megabytes. I don't really game at all and will be using this build for photography, watching YouTube, and general office applications. I really like the black and gray components with the contrast of the white case. And since I'm a photographer, I decided to send you professionally edited photos of the build. And yes, the photos were edited on my new rig. I would appreciate any tips for improvement. Well, just looking at this first photo, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to advise you to improve. This looks pretty goddamn dynamite. So Lewis has a Lee & Lee PC 011 Dynamic, surprise surprise, an i7 8700K, at 4.9 gigahertz, cooled by Corsair H150i Pro in a Gigabyte Z390 Aorus Master motherboard. The graphic card is a Zotac GTX 1070 Ti. He's got 64 gigs of G.Skill Trident Z, an EVGA Supernova 750G3, two Samsung 970 EVOs, one 970 EVO 1 terabyte. The 2X 970 EVOs were 250s. 6 Be Quiet Pure Wings 2 fans, and Fantex digital halos with some easy DIY cable extensions. I'm going to put a link to Lewis's photography website, Captured by Lewis, down in the video description. So if you want to check out more of his work, go nuts. But let's take a look at this system and the awesome photos that Lewis sent in. Again, the PC-O11 Dynamic really lends itself to being photogenic, to creating systems that are photogenic. And the way that Lewis has built this system with these just black and white theme with these fan grills is the fan grills themselves you don't see very much anymore. Let me see if I get a full-on side shot. So he actually sent in this photo as an example of like a photo from his phone versus a photo that he has edited. So the fan grills really stand out to me because you don't see them anymore, and it's kind of such a throwback look, but at the same time, it just seems to really fit with this build. Everything is black and white. The fan grills add more to that black theme. You've got this GPU support bracket down here that's also black and kind of it has a grill look itself, so that kind of ties in with the fan grills. The cables, because they're trained so well and they're, the cables themselves are so straight, that ties in with the fan grills too. Everything just looks so tight in here and so properly done. This is for your first build from scratch. You did an amazing job. So just taking a look at all these different angles, it's interesting to me that he routed his PCIe cables back and up as opposed to here, like down and through this grommet. That might be the only thing that I would complain about. Please notice my air quotes there. This is personal preference. If you like the way this looks, then please keep it this way. Personally, I think I would have routed them down just to get rid of some of this dead space down here, just to kind of cover it up. But as is, it still looks fantastic. And I really just dig everything that you've done here. I don't think that I would change a single thing. This just looks so good. And the angles that you took the photos from obviously are also very creative, and the photos themselves are just excellent. So really awesome job here, Lewis. I don't think that I would, like I said, I don't really think that I would change anything necessarily. I don't really have any tips for you here. You already just killed it. First build, knocked it out of the park, and these photos really do your system justice too. So I think that's it for this one, because man, I don't really have very much to say at all. Awesome job, Lewis. Thank you so much for sending this in. This system will be an inspiration for me, and I hope for some of you guys out there too, because it just looks so damn cool. And thanks for sending in such good photos too. All right, let's move on to our third system. Not our last system. There is an honorable mention today, but our third system in the all Lian Li O11 Dynamic episode. System number 3 today is from Michael W. Now, Michael only sent in a couple of photos, so we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but he did a couple things that I really like, and obviously we're still in PC-O11 Dynamic territory, so let's see what he has to say. He says, "Hi, my name is Michael W. from Orange County, California. This is my first PC build. I recently finished my gaming masterpiece. Lian Li PC-O11 Dynamic White, an i7-8700K, 5 GHz, Asus Prime Z390A motherboard, Samsung 970 EVO, 1 TB, 4x8 gigs of Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro memory, a GeForce GTX 1080 Ti Seahawk from MSI, an EVGA Supernova G3 850, Corsair H100i RGB Platinum, that's the CPU cooler, sorry, brain fart there for a second, Corsair LL fans, Corsair ML fans, CableMod Pro cables, and a V1 Tech backplate." So one of the reasons that I actually wanted to show this was because of how he configured the AIO and the Seahawk graphics card. So if you take a look at it from the side, a lot of times the issue that I have with GPUs that come with a radiator, an AIO on the, and a pump inside the housing and the external radiator, is that you end up having to run these extra tubes somewhere. And if you route them to the back of the case, like say if he had routed these tubes back here, if this was a different case, and mounted the fan and radiator back here, these tubes wouldn't be, they'd be kind of unruly. Like they generally would kind of like come out here and twist around and then come back this way. With the way he's done this, with the 120 radiator up top, combined with the 240mm radiator over here for the CPU, it almost just looks like he's got a single 360mm radiator at the top, and then nothing along the back, and the tubes then can kind of snake this way up along the back and be out of the way of the full system. The first time I looked at this photo, I looked at it fairly quickly, but the first time I looked at the photo and then read that there was a Seahawk graphics card in here, I'm like, what the hell, where are the tubes? And then I went back and looked at it and said, oh, check out what he's done here. So I really like this presentation if you're going to be going with a GPU with an all-in-one cooler attached to it. This is the way to do it. Other than that, you got the rainbow color scheme going on, which I am a fan of, and I know some people are not. But I also used this V1 Tech, or very similar V1 Tech backplate in one of my builds on the channel a couple months ago, and I really liked the way it added to the system. You don't have to have this on rainbow. You could change it to whatever color you want, but it provides some additional accenting, and the RGB effect is pretty great. Besides that, I mean, your wiring looks really good. These cable mod cables obviously add a lot to the build. You've got this kind of like rogue fan sitting down. Man, dog's really going to town on this bone over here. Sorry for all the snorting. But you got this fan down here. That's fine. I mean, if you want to put an additional fan in your system, that's fine. It kind of feeds air up to the GPU. So I understand that. I generally don't like the look of just a single fan at the bottom. I have built in this case where I have put fans along the bottom here, but I put 3 so that it kind of looked full. This looks a little empty when you have, on the sides, when you just have the one in the middle, but I understand why you would do it that way, and that's up to you. The rest of the cabling looks really good. I think, what is that cable over here? So what is this cable? I'm not quite sure what this goes to be honest with you. But looks like you kind of tried to tidy up the cables around here, and with these AIOs with the multiple cables coming off of them, it's tough. So you did a good job. Yeah, what is this cable? Is this some kind of a thermistor or something? It might be a thermistor. So yeah, I guess that, I mean, it's not misplaced. It just looks a little odd. I just didn't know what exactly that was. But yeah, the rest of the cabling, the CableMod Pro cables look really good. The color scheme in here is a little out there for some people, I suppose, but I like it. I like that you put the LLs up top and the MLs back here. I think that's a really good look, and good job overall. I think this is a great system, and I'm sure you are enjoying it. But we have one more to take a look at, and it is an honorable mention because it's just so cool. So let's take a look at that right now. All right, this is an honorable mention from Brendan S. Brendan writes, "Hello BPS Customs, my name is Brendan, and this is a PC I built a while ago as a show system for the PDX LAN 32B LAN party. The case is a Sony boombox from the 1980s that I completely gutted and reworked to fit an ITX motherboard. The power supply is heavily customized, and the GPU is mounted externally on a modified toy keyboard. I build about two of these show systems a year in addition to maintaining my main computer. I only used the boombox once, and the case is currently waiting for a new motherboard and processor to turn it back into a viable portable gaming rig again." So he lists the specs, and the case that he lists is the Sony CFS W360 boombox. It's got a Ryzen 7 1700 in it. 16 gigs of Team Dark DDR4 3000, a BioStar X370 GTN motherboard, a GTX 1070 Founders, a heavily modified EVGA 600B power supply, and he's got an SSD in here and a laptop size hard drive. And I just wanted to show this to you guys because it was just such a cool little thing to see. This is the back of the boombox, and everything is just kind of shoved in here. But if we take a look at the front, it just looks like a boombox. So that is really cool that you were able to kind of hollow everything out and have room for all the components in there. And then here's the external GPU mounted on a keyboard. And that's crazy. So I guess you use some kind of a riser to get the signal back to the motherboard. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys what Brendan was doing because this just looks so cool, and I'm very happy whenever I get these kinds of submissions. And I bet when you go to LAN parties that that this thing is a big hit. So that's it for Episode 6, Season 2 of Show Me Your Rig. Once again, this is the email address right up here. Make sure that you write it down. If you guys want to be a part of the show, send me in submissions, including your name, photos, information, system specs, stuff like that. Prize this season will go to an AIO or air-cooled system. No custom loops are going to be eligible for the prize, but if you got a custom loop that you are super proud of, send it in. I'd love to take a look at it. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. Stay tuned for more videos coming soon. Get subscribed if you're not already. Merch store link down below if you like hoodies and whatnot. And that is it. See you guys next time. Peace.